You'll never successfully stick frets in with PVA glue, but a lot of luthiers will put some sort of PVA glue into the fret slot before they hammer the fret in, just really to make sure that the slot is full, because you don't really want big gaps inside your fret board. It will wash off, so don't worry too much about. My fret is slightly bent. Not to worry. Must have done that when I was ensuring that it was sufficiently radiused. When you are hammering a fret, maybe not so much with stainless steel frets, but always really, just be careful. Hit it with the flat of the hammer. If you accidentally hit it sideways, you'll get dents in your frets, and then it'll just require more work after installation, and you don't want more work. Now just use a damp towel to wipe off that excess. Once you've wiped off the excess, you'll be able to get a better view of how flat that fret is sitting on your fretboard. If it's not perfect, just give it a few more taps. Once I've got them all in, I will go along and try to cut off the ends. I say try because anything with stainless steel frets is just 10 times more work, but I'll try and snip off the ends, and then I'll come to the filing. As these are stainless steel frets, I'm using a diamond cutting disc on my rotary tool to trim them to length. Behold the aftermath. The frets are trimmed mostly, other than that one, rather precisely, and you can see the ends lying beneath the neck. It's quite dramatic, really. They start glowing red hot just before they fall off. Now, there are different ways of doing the edge of the fretboard where the frets are. I've chosen to let the fret tang go all the way to the end of the fretboard so that the metal, both the crown and the tang, will be visible from the edge of the fretboard. I think that looks fine. Of course, you can't do that with binding, but I don't have binding here, so that's cool. However, the fret slots were just slightly deeper than they needed to be. Because they're pre-made when I bought them, I guess they cut them for the deepest possible fret tang, not knowing which one I would actually use, and they are deeper than I need. So what I've done is I've taken some super glue, and this one's now pretty much empty because I've done it on both sides of the fretboard, and just gone along and put a little blob of super glue, and it's far too much there. I'm just about to wipe that up. It's quite low viscosity super glue, i.e. it's quite liquid, not very blobby, so that it sinks into the gap a little bit. But the point of doing this is to plug up that very small gap that still remains. So when this is all dry, but I'll probably just do it tomorrow, I will, as part of the fretting, part of doing the fret work, I will sand that side surface, so the edge surface there of the fretboard, and get rid of the excess super glue. And that should look great. Now I have plans afoot for how I'm going to put my logo onto the headstock, and until I've done that, I'm not going to think about finishing the neck, because the plan that I have requires me to get that out of the way completely before I finish. So that's where the neck is at just now. So I've just leveled the frets now with my fret leveling file, well, my fret file that does all kinds of things, really. And just now, you can see I've done those frets there, but I haven't worked my way up the fretboard yet. I'm just filing off the excessive overhang. Not that there's much, because I cut them pretty well to length when I put them in. I'm just filing off the overhang. Just being careful not to dig into the side of the fretboard there with the corner of the file. Okay, that's pretty good. And then when they're all done, I will file a slight angle along the side of them all with this, and then I'll repeat the process on the other side, and then I'll sand the edge of the fretboard, and I'll get on with crowning the frets. Okay, on with this. Okay, so there's a slight bevel on the edge of all those frets, and then, as I said, I'll now do that whole thing on the other side. Just because I have to do it at some point, I am replacing those side marker dots that were torn out. There were 3 of them. And I'm doing that, and you will have seen this if you watched an earlier, albeit quite low quality video on making a guitar neck from scratch. So I've just got some plastic rods, and I'm dipping them in some acetone just so that the surface of them softens up, dissolves a little, and will stick. And then I'm poking them in the holes. I guarantee you that this is probably, maybe even exactly the process that whoever made this fretboard used. It's the simplest thing out there. Okay. And just one more. That's that. Give it a few minutes to dry. It dries pretty quickly, although it might not dry that quickly inside the hole. So maybe I'll give that 10 minutes. And then I will come back, cut it short, and scrape it level. And that'll be done. It really is the simplest things. Of all the fiddly things that you can do on a fretboard, it's nice to have one of the tasks that's really basic. There we are. So now I'll sand that when I sand the whole side of the fretboard, but that looks pretty good. Whoops, I've forgotten entirely about the other one. And you wouldn't even know it was a replacement. I'm trying something different in the crowning of these frets. I've tried this briefly before on the acoustic guitar neck that I made. Now, normally when I crown the frets on a neck after leveling them, which slightly flattens off the top of them, I tape up the fretboard, and then I take to it with here it is here, with this excellent file from Crimson Guitars in the UK. But I'm trying something quite different. This I got for a few bucks on eBay, and it's a fret crowning file, and it just has a file on each edge, and as you can see there, it's got a concave surface. So it puts a nice rounded top onto a fret after you've leveled it. That's the theory, at least. I've done a couple of the frets so far, and I have to say it actually looks all right. I'm suspicious of solutions that cost very little, but look, if they actually prove to be solutions, and that's kind of cool. I don't know that I'd always do it this way, but you should try everything, basically. And I haven't even, and this may be unwise, but I haven't even taped up the fretboard. When you place this place this file on top of a fret, it doesn't touch the wood at all. So if you're careful, you're not going to scratch the fretboard. Of course, you might not be careful, in which case taping it up is a good idea. And I'm going to have to tape up the fretboard anyway when I come to polish the frets and sand them, then polish them. I'm bumping the camera around because the chair on which it is sitting is touching the bench. And that's, I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but that's a decent rounded top now. That's not bad at all. So, hey, yay for cheap solutions. I'll keep doing all of the frets with this, and then I will just brush off the filings, and then we'll get to the sanding and polishing. Right, the cut polish compound is on the frets, and let's get polishing. This is the really easy part of the job.